Welcome to the new sound of online radio. Welcome to the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network.
You make me feel like I've been locked out of heaven.
A mix of today's hits and hard-to-find favorites, combined with the most entertaining and intriguing talk anywhere. This is your sound. This is the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at uenradio.com.
Hello and welcome. We are Del and Debi's Mind, Body, Soul, the home of invigorating talk to do with all things health and well-being. And we need to apologize. Thank you for hanging in there with us. We're a little late today. We had some technical difficulties and a few of you let us know. But thank you for hanging in there. And we have a great show lined up for us today. But before Debi introduces that, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm one of your co-hosts. I'm Delady Jones, and I'm a certified transformational coach and a 3 principles teacher and practitioner. And I help my clients achieve a more peaceful, loving, and joy-filled life, regardless of their external circumstances. And we are an interactive show, so I'm going to give you the phone number. We'd like you to call in and join the conversation. It's 323-284-7826, and we also have a Facebook page open, and you can ask any questions or make comments on that too during the show. And now to my beautiful co-host.
Thank you, Del. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for watching today and being part of our show. I'm the other half of Del and Debi. I am Debi, and I am certified as a integrative nutrition, health, and wellness coach, a personal trainer, and a fitness instructor. And I like to say that I help people and my clients find things that feed us in life in addition to the food on their plate to get balance. And kind of talking about that today. So I have the pleasure of introducing our guest. So our guest today is a master in prevention and the healing of chronic diseases and illnesses. Dr. Meg Haworth is a celebrity nutritional chef, a wellness expert, and a doctor of transpersonal psychology who has healed over a dozen illnesses and traumas in her own body, including fibromyalgia, IBS, drowning, and being struck by lightning. Yes, I said lightning. Today we will discuss the powerful connection between our life experiences and our illnesses later in life. Dr. Meg will share her groundbreaking mind-body techniques for self-healing that has worked for her and so many others within her practice. So will you please join us in welcoming our guest today, Dr. Meg Haworth. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We're going to talk about some powerful stuff that's related to things that we don't think about, and I just love that we can talk about this and open up the door to it.
Yeah.
I think it's an important thing.
Thank you so much for having me here.
We're so excited. But before we get into all the amazing things we do, we'd just like to start off at the beginning and just share a little bit about where you grew up and your background, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. Okay. So I grew up in Arlington, Virginia. I was born in D.C., so grew up only a few miles from the White House and the Pentagon, respectively. My mom was a science teacher at our high school, actually.
Oh, really?
And also had worked at NIH. So we grew up with a science all around us. I mean, that was my mom's passion, and that's really what she taught us. We would look under the microscope at literally any and everything we wanted to.
That sounds so much fun.
So. And she was also an organic gardener.
Yeah.
And that was a huge influence on me. At the time, it was a lot of eye rolling. It's like, oh, we have to pick the tomatoes. Oh, we're going to go sell the tomatoes. And now I'm an entrepreneur who talks about organic.
Yeah, exactly.
Cracks me up the way life turns.
But your dad was opposite from that, right? Wasn't he sort of a junk food guy, but not really? At that time, we didn't really know it was junk food.
We didn't know.
Yeah.
And, both my parents are from the South, and so we had sweet tea in the fridge all the time. And, so So that's a cup of sugar
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
and 1 pitcher of tea.
Right.
So
With a
and
little
then
bit
we
of water.
had sugary cereals that we put more sugar on, and no one said no to it.
Exactly.
We didn't understand.
And I never understood why people drink so much lemonade, because you clearly have to put lots of sugar in to make it palatable. But
Right.
whereas you can get the same amount of vitamin C from an orange and enjoy it. So,
Yeah, exactly. And then
without
get
the
the nice
sugar.
sweetness.
Yeah. Natural
it's
sweetness.
it's just what we're used to. We sort of grew up that way, and then we passed it along to our kids and so on down the line, and it's what they were used to. So, but then we started to find out where illness was coming from, and things started to shift a little bit. But people still do it. It's amazing.
So
So-
that's a great. So we can see clearly where your path began
Yes.
from that childhood. So
But you were not eating necessarily the way your mother was
No,
providing.
we ate, from both sides. you
Yeah.
know. And my mom wasn't like strictly, this is the only way you should eat. She didn't know about the sugar thing either back then. So we were eating all of it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but in the summertime, we would just be brimming with all this beautiful vegetables from the garden and fruits. We had like a grapevine and a cherry tree, and
Did you have
lovely.
siblings?
so 3 sisters.
Oh, all
Yeah.
girls. Okay.
Yeah.
And did you all take your mom's science class at some point?
No, the eldest one did, and she transferred out of it pretty quickly, and they just don't. They stopped doing that, having children.
Yeah,
and-
the same kid. Yeah,
Yeah, it just
All right,
doesn't.
that's why I asked.
Yeah,
It's
curious
not good
if
for
it-
anybody.
I was about to say that's really not good for the poor kids.
Yeah.
I mean, you get teased and favoritism or accused of favoritism and things like that.
Exactly, and that was already
So-
happening just being in the same high school.
Yeah,
so-
yeah, and you don't want to hear anything about your mom or vice versa.
Yeah.
And your dad, what did he do?
He was a defense contractor.
Okay, so he worked
So
in from the Pentagon or through
no, he
the
was,
military of some.
defense contracting is private industry
Yes.
that contracts with the government for specific projects. And his projects, he would oversee designs
Oh.
for battleships, particularly for the Navy.
Oh, that's a cool
Fascinating.
job.
Yeah.
That's,
So did you always know that you wanted to go into the sciences and become a doctor?
No.
Really? Okay. What other interest did you have?
Well, as a child, I wanted to be a veterinarian and a ballerina.
there's a good combo.
So you
you loved animals and dance.
But so common for young girls, I think. I mean, most young girls are there's something about the empathy and them nurturing. They want to become vets. And then also they love dancing. So
Yeah,
that's quite a common.
my youngest daughter, same thing. I mean,
Yeah.
loved animals and danced her whole life.
Yeah.
Just same thing, same road. That's so funny. So how did that manifest? How did that
Yeah.
play out?
Well, I didn't become a dancer, but I still love dancing. But I didn't obviously become a veterinarian, but I did get into transpersonal psychology eventually. It was actually, I fell in love with psychology in 10th grade, I guess it was.
Oh,
I took
really?
my first
That
psych
early?
class.
Okay.
I was 15, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I want to know more about this. And so that's what I got into college for originally.
Wow. So did you have any trauma or anything in your childhood? Because usually people I was going to say, let's go there for a minute.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're
It's usually
comfortable.
Oh, not
yeah,
at all. No.
Yeah,
Because
because I
usually
know it
people
comes
that-
up in your book and you're helping others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And usually people that do tend to go into psychology usually have their issues of their own that they've either worked through and want to understand at a deeper level and then share their healing. So tell us a little bit about some of those.
Well, there was drowning, which I think was in my bio.
Yes.
I drowned
Yeah.
when I was 2, and that's
Okay.
and that was a found floating in the water dead. They had to revive me kind of drowning.
Wow.
It was very intense. and
my
so
goodness.
that impacted my life in all these ways that it took me a while to unfold those. I still was unfolding them as of a few years ago.
Yeah.
Some of the things that I would do.
Were you in a swimming pool or were you in
I was
a
in the ocean.
The ocean.
Yeah. Yeah.
And did you, clearly at 2, we don't have that much of a conscious memory of our life at 2, but did you, as you were becoming more aware and growing up, was the event or the tragedy rather referred to? Did you know it had happened?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it would come up from time to time. So
When you were old enough to understand, your
Yeah.
family told you. And
Well, I think
and
one
you
of the
were revived,
one
right?
of the places, yes, I was revived and taken to the hospital, had my stomach pumped and stayed overnight. But one of the ways that was really evident is I had to wear a life jacket anywhere around water until I was about 15.
Yeah.
So
okay.
that was a big impact, and
When
I
all
can
your
understand now.
friends,
At the
yeah.
time, it was very hard to understand, but I
And
can
would they
understand
tell-
as my parents
No,
were
exactly.
terrified.
Yeah,
you
but they
know?
were hyper vigilant. Did they express the reason why? Did they give you a reason? They said because you.
Did you know what
almost drowned.
happened? Did you?
Yeah, I knew it was from the drowning.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But did your parents give you subsequently afterwards swim lessons or
Oh,
something
yeah.
to help
Yeah, we
ease everybody's fears? Yeah.
swimming. I eventually taught kids how to swim.
Oh, good. So you
yeah.
took it full circle.
Yeah,
That's
which I think
great.
was great of them because I think if you think about that, they're trying to not make me completely terrified of water
Sure,
too.
yeah.
Right.
And I love water and I love the ocean. And
Yes.
Which is why I was struck by lightning. I was by the ocean again.
Yeah, okay.
Wow. That's a whole.
That's, way, way later.
Yeah.
We're still in childhood
Yes.
now.
Yeah.
So there was a drowning in childhood, and
Yeah.
what was any other
Yeah.
traumatic experiences?
Yeah,
Just that you're comfortable.
Yeah,
sharing.
no, it's fine. I mean, this is something that, I share a lot because my platform now is really helping sexual abuse survivors heal their histories and their health.
Yeah.
Because the two are one. And
Exactly.
that's the message I really want to convey to people.
big.
And so I'm a sexual abuse survivor, several different people growing up, a date rape at 17, and I was assaulted by a security guard at a place where I used to work, so there were just, and I was only 16.
People that you
at the
trusted
time.
were
Yeah.
violating you. That's
Yeah.
awful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then it manifested itself into illness for you.
Yeah.
Obviously, I named a few things as you got older, and you didn't realize that the two were related to each other.
Yeah.
What were those illnesses, and how old were you? And I know you're out in LA now, so what brought you out here? And
Oh, yeah. So that's a
One-
lot.
I was just
That's
gonna
a
say-
lot of questions.
Yeah, that's gonna say,
However,
one at a time.
But I figure if you the coming out to LA is sort of
Yeah.
simultaneous with the illness as it started.
Yeah, well, I came out the first time to LA when I was 22, right after college. And I came here to be with my best friend since childhood. We grew up next door to each other in Arlington, Virginia. And she'd moved out here when we were 16, I think. It's like juniors in high school. So I started visiting LA then. And at that point, I said, I'm gonna move here after college. And it all worked out that it happened. So I was here from 91 to 94 and left after the riots and came back again in 05.
Oh, okay.
But backtracking, I mean, that's why, I ended up in LA.
Yeah.
It was to be near her. And I also wanted to get my work out into the world because I had a bed and breakfast and retreat center in South Carolina. And
Very cool.
I took people to the Bahamas to swim with wild dolphins. I'd already, had created all of that and
Wow.
earned
At
my
a
PhD.
very young age, right? I
Yeah,
was just gonna say.
that's really.
No, my PhD wasn't until I was 37. So my PhD was in transpersonal psychology then. But anyway, I'm kind of skipping all over the place
Yeah.
at the
I
moment.
know. Let's
back.
those
Let's
10
go back.
questions in a row that threw you.
Yeah.
So
let's go back.
Yeah,
And
go back to when I know you said so. You suffer from some trauma.
Yes.
And when you took these first psych classes, you were intrigued and really interested in that, and that's where you went
Yeah.
into your what you studied at college. Now, when did you start recognizing within yourself? Because I know Debbie referred to it that you had some physical illnesses yourself. When did you first become aware that they were connected with your childhood trauma?
That didn't really happen until I had gotten into transpersonal psychology, and that's what because transpersonal is really about mind, body, soul.
Yeah.
And the holistic connection. And that's when I started to make the leap between those things. Simultaneously, I was reading a lot of books in psychoneuroimmunology. It was just sort of a new field back then. So huge impact on me was Dr. Candace Pert and her book, Molecules of Emotion. Dr. Joan Borisenko, she was another big impact on me. And that was, by the time I read their work, I was in my late 20s. I'd been in and out of doctor's offices for most of the decade of my 20s. And like one diagnosis after the next. You would ask like what they were.
Yeah.
And I had irritable bowel syndrome. I'd have migraines that would last for weeks. TMJ so bad I couldn't open my mouth, and
Wow.
had to take my food through a straw at points.
Wow.
Muscle spasms in my neck and upper back from scoliosis, which I actually learned had a lot to do with the inflammatory foods I was eating. They were inflaming my muscles and creating the spasms, and it just all these things unfolded, and it took a lot of time and effort to figure.
I'm
it all
curious
out.
what the doctors were saying to you and how they were trying to heal you when you were going, because you said you went back and forth to doctors. What were their diagnoses and recommendations that you do?
Well, like with the neck and upper back, they would put me to bed for sometimes weeks at a time, and I'd be
Which
on.
makes it worse.
Yeah, it does. Muscle relaxers, painkillers.
Makes it worse.
I was on antidepressants because, of course, I was horribly depressed from not just the traumas, but also not being able to do anything.
Right, right.
Just laying.
There was
in bed.
emotional and nutritional and all kinds of things aiding to the depression, I'm sure.
And the pain was just off the charts.
When did you realize the connection then between self-care and, that you had power to change all that? What was that one thing that helped you?
There was an actual moment in time where everything started to shift for me. And I was reading a magazine article in the Washingtonian magazine on alternative medicine. And it was really just kind of getting discussed. And this was in the mid-90s. And I could barely hold up that magazine. I was in so much pain.
Oh, my goodness.
And they were talking about chiropractic care. And I thought, oh, that'd be so great for my then boyfriend, who later became my husband. And now we're divorced. But I thought it clicked. I'm not taking care of me. There are other alternatives out here. They're telling me that I can do something different, or at least try something different. I was terrified to go to a chiropractor. I was told they were all quacks. And, I was brought up, very much in the Western medical ideology, with a science mom.
Yeah.
So anyway, yes, that was the turning point moment. And
So
I
you
started
went for
going-
yourself
I went for myself. It was a turning point moment, and I started going to
because you started feeling better.
chiropractors.
And that was the mid-90s, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
now-
you realized very quickly that food was related. Did the chiropractor, a holistic chiropractor who helped you kind of shift your mindset around diet?
Yeah, she sent me to a nutritionist right away and got
Okay.
me into yoga and
There you go.
meditation and all
All
of
the
those
stuff.
things simultaneously opened me up, and just how quickly I started to heal just from all of those things together. I don't think it was any one thing.
No, exactly, yeah. And were you in therapy yourself at that time? And you were working through your psychological issues as well as the chiropractor helping you with the physiological issues you were going through?
Yeah,
That's lovely.
I
That's
went through
good.
therapy
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah,
Good. So you were healing all ends, basically.
exactly.
And you felt the difference. So you could see that just by nurturing yourself in all these ways makes a huge difference in your health.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you did this for yourself, and did you start your practice, or did you start realizing that you could do it for others, or you just...
No, I started to seek education to help me help others,
Right.
because I thought, wow, I could really help a lot of people with this thing. I was just so taken aback by what was possible. So
Yeah, once you've gone through it yourself, you really just that need to share and help others is so profound. So I just want to go, when does this lightning strike fit in with this whole
it's
thing?
later, though, right?
That was
It's
later,
because
yeah.
you had
It's
what
only a
you
few
ended
years.
up doing was you kind of went back to old habits and started getting sick again.
Oh,
Yep.
boy.
Is that right?
Yep.
And you're here in LA at the time when that was going on. And again, the light bulb says the way I'm treating myself is where this is coming from.
Yeah.
Why did that happen? You weren't in practicing and helping others yet, or you were?
I was.
You were. Okay.
I was. Once I moved to LA, I started to get more into I started to eat gluten and dairy again. I stopped meditating. I started.
And this is in the mid-2000s when you came back.
Mid-2000s.
Yeah.
So it didn't happen right away, but it was sort of a slow progression. And
That's
then-
interesting because
cumulative.
normally people come to California and get really healthy. It's not that they come back to California and then start giving up on those.
Well, we are a
things.
food town. We do have a lot of great restaurants and
We
a great.
do.
There's so many temptations. It's
Yeah.
so difficult. I know I have that with my clients who are very social. It's very hard to. They think they're missing out,
Yeah.
and you have to. And that's kind of what pushes us back into sort of bad nutritional habits. Is there's so many temptations, and we want to fit in. We don't want to miss out.
There was that, and also there was this myth going around that I learned the hard way on, and that was that once your allergies cleared, that you could go back to these foods later.
yes,
and
yes.
you absolutely cannot.
Oh, wow.
And everything that we know scientifically about them, these are, gluten and dairy products, particularly sugar, are all things that we really shouldn't be consuming in the U.S. For a lot of reasons. A lot of it has to do with farming practices.
I was
but
just
that's
about to
another-
say, because I noticed the distinction there in the U.S. as opposed to other countries because of, I would imagine...
Because of the way we process
Well,
and
exactly.
what we put in our food.
Yeah, I mean, because cheese and things like that in Europe that's unpasteurized and things can be incredibly healthy with all the microbes and things that healthy gut
and the
things.
enzymes that actually
Yeah.
help you digest it.
Exactly.
And none of it's in the cheeses here.
Yeah.
And then you got hormones and pesticides you're dealing with as
Right.
well. So it's-
Making you sick slowly but surely.
Exactly.
Well, that's good though that you did go back and that you had the reoccurrence of the symptoms, because that really is just like a double-blind test. That just proves to you right there.
You're just your own, test dummy, really.
Yeah. That,
and we all are.
Yeah,
you
we
know?
are. We are. I mean, and we all have the power within us to
Yeah.
change. It's just
but to just have
know.
that experience to
Yeah.
really know you were on the right track. This was not a myth and it wasn't a coincidence, and you really
Right.
did heal yourself, and you can do it again.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful. So
Exactly.
So when healing yourself the second time around and realizing all that, was that before or after the lightning strike?
let's get to this lightning
yeah.
strike.
It was just
around that
before.
time. It was
Yeah,
just
it was.
before.
It was within a couple of years or so before the lightning
Okay.
strike. I'd gotten so many symptoms and additional ones that I had not had before. I was working as a celebrity chef, really working hard. I had a waiting list. I was doing very, very well in that profession.
You were teaching like cooking classes for like Whole Foods and
Yeah.
other places like that, big time. How to make
Yeah.
healthy meals.
Exactly.
So you're on a good road. That was a great road. Did you enjoy doing that during
I
that time?
loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
But so you
So-
was it burning you out, or
It was burning me out. That was part of it, and I was, some of my clients would want things with dairy in it, or, they try all these different diets. And so I was tasting all these things that I shouldn't have been. I didn't realize how toxic dairy was to me, particularly until I got to this doctor that I ended up going to after all of the symptoms and after I'd gotten a positive tests for mixed connective tissue disease. And I looked at what Western medical does for that, and it was catastrophic. And I thought, I can't go down this road.
Well, can you give us a bit more detail about that? That's a diagnosis I've never heard before. What is that?
It's a rare autoimmune disease, and it hadn't been officially diagnosed, but I had tested positive twice for it. And it's it has, they call it mixed because it has different autoimmune disease associated with it.
So it's a couple of different autoimmune
Yeah.
diseases that are attached to it.
And how did it manifest in your
Yes.
body that you knew there was something wrong?
I was dropping things. I would suddenly just fall.
Oh, my goodness.
Heart palpitations and chest pain so bad I would just pull over. I thought I was having a heart
Oh
attack.
my God, this is extreme.
Yeah, they were extreme
Yeah.
symptoms.
And all dairy, including goat and sheep. All
Yes,
dairy.
all
All
dairy.
dairy.
Yeah, my doctor looked at me and said, not one drop. And I'm like, okay.
That's
So
it.
it's
And
been
you
that way
notice
ever
the
since.
difference just
Yeah.
by taking it out.
Massive.
Good.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah,
does he
and
say-
all my sinus infections went away?
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
that's
Yeah.
ear
Yeah.
infections, sinus infection. I was a kid with ear infections
Me
because
too.
of dairy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, is that
Big time.
Would he say that was just specific to you because of this autoimmune diagnosis you had, or is that a blanket statement for everybody that he says no dairy?
For him, that was, and who I'm talking about is doctor who was an Oriental medical doctor. He was the top in the world. He's now deceased, unfortunately. But Dr. Matt Van Benschoten, he's literally saved my life with Chinese herbs compounded just for me. Had a very unusual way of diagnosing that he had created himself, and his proteges are still working, and I still go to them. It's really powerful. So I just want to say where that came from so that people know who my doctor was. But he said that all autoimmune diseases are caused by long-term bacterial and viral infections. It's one of the things he said to me once in a session. And I thought, okay, that's really fascinating, because as you look at autoimmune diseases, and a lot of the doctors that I've talked to over the years on my podcast series, one of them said to me once, cancer is end-stage autoimmunity. And it just went, wow. I'd never, it makes so much sense. And then they've seen the links between cancers and long-term infections. So people that are getting infections yearly and always on Z-Paks or, whatever. Antibiotics, you are destroying your system.
That's right.
And you're leaving yourself more
taking away the good bacteria.
Exactly.
Yeah. But back to, I just want to clarify one point.
Sure.
So was this doctor, who I can't remember his name that you just mentioned, I'm so sorry.
Dr. Matt.
Dr. Matt, that's easier, I can remember that. But did he say that the sort of no dairy was just for you specifically, or did he believe that nobody should be eating any dairy whatsoever?
I can't comment on that. He did say for autoimmune conditions. That's one thing he did say, but I don't
Yeah,
know.
everybody's pretty individual on how they manifest and digest. But, dairy, there's so much research, talk about science, to back up that it does cause a lot of havoc in your system.
Yeah.
And it can manifest itself in many ways over a period of time.
Yeah.
And so, that's like sort of a given, I would say.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. Some people are lactose intolerant, but other people are just like, even if you're not lactose intolerant, you should not go near it. So, So
now you're on the beach.
Yes, let's
in
get
Venice.
back. I want to know.
You're
this
back at the
lightning
water,
strike.
and you're in Venice.
And how old were you this time? You were 2 the first time you had an incident. And how old were you when you had the lightning strike?
47.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this was this was a huge turning point in your life to where what you're doing today with your life.
Major.
So
it took a lightning bolt to get me to do this.
So what was going on? Was there a storm?
There was a storm way out at sea that you could see. It was beautiful. It was one of the most beautiful beach days I'd ever seen. The water was really calm, and there were clouds way back, but and there were clouds overhead. But in LA, that doesn't really mean much.
Yeah. What time of year was it?
It was July 27th.
Oh, so when we do get lightning storms here, if we get them at all, they're usually in July.
Yeah.
The summer months.
So, I was walking the beach with one of my best friends, and we were just chatting away, and there were dolphins swimming up near the shore, which I think is kind of an indicator something's about to go down. Yeah. Because dolphins are very sensitive that way.
Yeah, exactly.
But it didn't occur to me because we're talking away. So we sat down in the wet sand near the waterline, and then all of a sudden the cloud started discharging lightning. And it was about 20 feet from us, so we got a ground current that went up.
Oh, your friend got it too then, clearly.
Yeah.
Okay.
There were 13 people struck that day. Wow. I think 9 of us went to the hospital. 1 person passed.
Oh, geez.
Young man. He was only 19. It was
so
my
sad.
Gosh.
Oh, that is so serious.
Yeah.
So you and your friend were affected.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's certainly a wake-up call if somebody...
Do you remember that? Do you remember what it felt like? And you do?
Yeah, I was looking at her at the time, so I was turned to my right, and the bolt struck over to the left, and it looked like a plate of white light had hit the top of her head, and all these jagged bolts were around both of us. It was like being in one of those static electricity globes,
where you see the different legs, the veins.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was
and the
intense.
feeling was, did you feel, I think I read you smelt something burning right away? Or?
No, it felt like a heavy metal object had
Oh.
hit me over the head.
Okay.
And there was this loud zzzt noise. It was very quick. And then all the muscles seized up. So it was literally like being hit over the
Wow.
head.
How did you both react? I mean, did you scream? Did you? I'm just curious. How on
Yeah, I
earth do you
know.
react in that situation?
It was my friend. She put we both had our hands on top of our heads immediately.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, 'cause
of-
that's
'cause we
where-
could feel. That's
yeah.
actually where the energy exited our
Yeah.
bodies. She looked at me and said, "Did we just get struck?" And I said, "Yeah, I saw it hit you."
Yeah.
And we got up and we just burst into tears and
Yeah.
held each other, knowing that we had cheated death. It was
Or did you run away from
Did
the
you
wet
did
sand?
you try to go get help or?
immediately. We were just trying. We were so disoriented.
Yes.
We were both in pain just
Right.
from it was like a sunburn and inside my head and outside of my head, like in my brain.
Yeah.
We were in shock.
Yeah.
Over what had just happened. We turned to the side and somebody was pulling a man out of the surf who was lifeless. He had on, he was probably in his mid-50s, a really big man with a wetsuit on, clearly been surfing. We started running towards the guard stand, screaming for help. And there were people coming from the other end of the beach to help him. And then we got in the sand and we were praying for him. We were
Yes.
just, sending love to him, hoping that he would get better. And I looked at the clouds and I said to my friend, I'm like, we need to get off the beach.
I was going to
Yeah.
say, so that wasn't your first instinct, was not to just like run for dry land, because I mean, you could have easily been struck again.
No, it wasn't the first. The first instinct was to help the man who needed the help.
Oh, that's lovely.
And then the second was, after I'm like, we can pray for this man from anywhere. So
Yes.
let's go. And as I left the beach, I felt really kind of weak and disoriented. We both did, and we were both really out of it. And
Were there any lifeguards or anybody telling people
Yeah.
to get off the beach?
all
Nope.
over,
Oh, okay.
the
There
whole
were-
place was swarmed.
Yeah,
There were
okay.
just so many emergency vehicles.
Okay, there were.
okay,
That's
yeah.
so
Probably
somebody called right
every
away. Everybody
lifeguard
saw it. Okay,
for
good.
miles
That's
was
what I was
probably
curious.
there.
Okay.
And it was a huge scene. And
Did they tell you that you needed to get checked or anything? Or
well, when we stepped off the beach into a parking lot there, where all the emergency vehicles were, she realized that she left her shoes, and I'm like, "Don't go back to get your shoes.
Yeah.
Just let's buy some on Venice Boardwalk."
Yeah,
She's like,
yeah,
"No, I'm just going to go back and get them." So she went back to get them. I started talking to a paramedic, and I said, "My friend and I were struck, and we can walk, we can talk. We both have headaches, and we're not feeling right." But and I said, "What should we do?" And he looked at me like I had two heads. He's like, "You were just struck by lightning. You need to get checked out.
Yeah.
Did you know your heart can stop?"
Yeah.
I'm like, no.
Yeah, it's like
Exactly.
the electric shock that
Yeah.
it's how they restart hearts.
yeah.
So did they put you
Wow.
in the ambulance and off you went? So
did.
what were
Oh, good.
all the things that I know? There's a couple of things that happened to you that the lightning did that
Yeah.
made you ill. Basically, what were they?
Yeah, my doctor put me on disability because I had a disc in my lower back was damaged, 3 areas of my brain, my auditory nerve, my salivary glands, and the nerves and muscles in my legs. So I couldn't stand for long periods of time. I would have this horrifying twitching, and I couldn't sleep well. And there were a few times where I'm fairly certain I was having seizures as I was going to sleep. It only happened maybe 2 or 3 times, but it was just sort of like very not really aware. I don't even know for sure if that's what it was, but it was very, very intense. Everything was intense immediately after.
Yes.
Like just my vision, my hearing, everything.
What do you
was-
do for that? Is it just self-care? Is there a protocol after when all those things manifest from lightning? Is there a way to heal faster? What do you do?
Yeah, well, I go to alternative medicine typically. So I went to Dr. Matt.
Yeah, you did.
We
And
both
said,
did. My friend and I. She's the one
Help.
who had
Yeah.
referred to me originally. But so we went to him, and that helped a lot. We also went to energy medicine practitioner to help with really what felt like energetic congestion in the body, you know?
Yeah.
I also went to the Western medical doctor. I went to, there was a doctor at Johns Hopkins University who specializes in this particular issue.
Yeah, you know,
lightning strikes.
Where my
So I talked
mind's
to him.
going right now, I keep thinking back to, you know, the sort of, I don't know how late they did it, but certainly 50s, 60s and 70s, electric shock treatment. They would do it for depression and aversion therapy, you know, when they were trying to...
They still do.
They still do it.
Yeah,
Well,
it
do
hasn't
they?
gone away.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I know some of the side effects were memory loss and things like that. Did you have any memory loss?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
That was part of the brain damage.
Yeah, exactly.
Short-term memory.
Yeah.
So it was right temporal brainstem balance. I still sometimes discover things with my balance. And I'm like, oh, wow, that came from the lightning.
So did you have to do some PT, some rehab work, and some herbs and minerals and things like that to replenish and sort of get rid of and add in to what the lightning did?
Yeah, the
So this is
doctor had
long-term.
me do work with a personal trainer actually to help me with strengthening the signals from the brain to the legs, particularly.
Oh, smart. Uh-huh.
Luckily, she had been a physical therapist before she became a doctor, and she really knew her stuff in that
Yeah,
regard.
that's
so
why I
that
asked.
was helpful.
Yeah, good.
great.
So how long how long did it take for you to get back to where you felt mostly normal again?
Really about a year.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was
Goodness.
a very
But
long,
would
slow
you have said
progression.
that you're completely healed from any of the effects? Oh, so
No.
so the year was to help you get to functioning
Yeah,
a
yeah.
lot better, but you're still some of the effects are still remaining.
Yeah, the chiropractor is a huge help. Huge help with the disc issue because the surgeon I spoke to at Johns Hopkins wanted to do surgery, and that's what they typically do for lightning strike survivors. And I was,
Is
I
that
was like,
common
no.
to have disc injury from lightning strikes?
Very common.
okay.
Some people have their discs completely burnt out.
Wow.
So, and mine had been basically knocked out of place because of the muscles. If you
Yes.
think about the muscles around the spinal column,
Protected. And
yeah, and they get
wow.
they seize. So my neck.
Now, I'm just curious because this is such. I mean, as they say, I mean, what is it? The chances of being struck by lightning are so, you know.
Yeah, you're in a minority.
Exactly. Do you have
Yeah.
have clients that may have suffered the same thing, seeking you out because you have been through it yourself and understand it on a level much deeper than probably anybody else?
Not yet.
Well,
But-
okay. Anybody out there suffering from?
But the way you
happy to help.
healed yourself from each symptom, because each of those symptoms can be a part and parcel of something else that it's going on in somebody else's body, and the way you healed yourself, I would think clients would want to seek you out for that holistic,
Yes.
natural course. So that was really a turning point for you to realize that you wanted to work with clients that were in the victimization. Yes. Okay. So because you knew that you weren't taking your what do you call it?
My
Your PhD, yeah, and using it to its fullest potential.
Yeah.
And you really wanted to.
Yeah, it was really mind-boggling to me. I'm like, I'd be chopping onions in Michael Weatherly's kitchen and thinking, how did I get here?
Yeah.
I mean, there are people that are killing to work for these celebrities,
Yes.
and I love this work so much, and I'm so happy my life led me here. But I'm not using this whole PhD. But now, as I look back, I can see that now that holistic perspective I really developed in those 10 years as a celebrity chef, really developed those skills to
The two
mastery.
together.
Exactly.
And
There's
I'd already
were just-
developed the other two
You were
masteries.
building
so-
your way
Yes.
towards where you were
Yeah.
going.
Nothing's
Exactly.
ever not perfectly perfect in that moment. It's all leading you somewhere.
That's
Which
beautifully
is great.
said.
Yeah.
And
That's
so now
wonderful.
you
Yeah.
focus on holistic wellness for abuse survivors that have chronic illnesses, and tell us what the connection to these illnesses are to the abuse that they had, and how come they manifested and turned into disease.
Yeah. Okay. So there's the largest public health study ever done is the Adverse Childhood Experiences Study. And they created the ACE quiz out of the study. And basically, the study has been ongoing at Kaiser Permanente in San Diego. It's been ongoing for the last 20 plus years. And what they have found is an indelible link. And there's other studies around the world that have mimicked the same study between adverse childhood experiences, so physical, sexual, and emotional abuse, and family dysfunction, like an alcoholic parent or an incarcerated parent or divorce or abandonment.
Makes so much sense.
The big ones.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I found it can only take one event or one that happens over and over. If you have divorced parents fighting over you all the time, that can really wear away on the body. And how it does it is that you're in fight, flight, or freeze mode all the time. If you're in a home where there's a lot of rage or abuse or criticism that's going on, or and you're secreting hormones of cortisol and adrenaline to the point where they become toxic to the body. They wear your immune system down, and then you're left wide open to...
You're so susceptible
Yes.
to anything and everything. You have no immune system anymore. That's so
Exactly.
true.
So you're wide open
Adrenal
to
failure.
infections, and then you see that trajectory we talked about very briefly. Is you start taking the antibiotics, and then you
And then you're on this
deplete the-
snowball effect
Yeah.
of one thing after another causing these problems, adding fuel to the fire, basically, and causing other problems on top of the problems. So then you're able to heal them holistically and work with them.
yeah.
And do you
Beautiful. I
do you
love
work
that.
one-on-one? I know you do. You coach one-on-one. Yeah.
One-on-one, anybody around the world, I work virtually.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Which is great. And you have a protocol with your program too, right? Like a whole system. Is it over a period of months or it is? Okay. And people buy into that full, because you break it down into sessions that each have very specific things that you do to help them. So they have to kind of sign up for the whole thing.
Yeah, and it's also specific to them too.
Yeah.
If they've handled
Designed
a lot of the
specifically.
food
Yeah.
stuff, then we go into
To the food.
We go into the deeper emotional mind-body techniques.
Yes.
Now, for people that don't get a chance to work with you individually, you have a new best-selling book. It's only been on the Amazon for what? It was best-selling in less than a week.
Yeah,
So that's
I know,
pretty
it's very
amazing.
exciting. Yeah.
That's wonderful. And so so tell us a little bit about the book, how what propelled you to write it, and what was your main message in writing it?
Yeah, so it's Get Well Now, Healing Yourself with Food and the Power of the Mind. And it's really step-by-step instructions on how to get well.
Yeah.
We look at everything from the toxins in our food supply to how to create a food plan that could help you heal your body. And then I talk about, there's the whole food section, and then there's a whole mind section.
Yeah.
And the mind
Exactly.
section is really going deeper into, okay, now that we've gotten the food in place, and I see this all the time, and your body's feeling better, but you're still spinning in anxiety and fear and guilt and shame and those. Then we use my technique, whole person integration technique. It's a mind-body technique to help them shift their emotional inner world. And
Can you give us an example of how
Yeah.
that technique works? I'm curious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Debbie is volunteering to be a case study for you today. I love volunteering
I'm
Debbie
sure-
for things.
I'm sure there's an audience out there that's curious too. But yes, I'm
Yeah.
curious.
So
Wink, wink.
for her friend, she's curious.
right.
Joking.
So say you've got ulcers, and you also have, everyone has sort of an overlighting emotion that you kind of go to over and over and over again. Mine had been sadness. For a lot of people, it's anger, because as anger is used as a protection and it covers other emotions. For some people, it's anxiety. They get very anxious very easily, and that's a collection of emotions. So we look at where is your anxiety in your body? And we do this where the client is in an altered state, completely aware of everything that's going on. So it's not hypnosis, but their eyes are closed so they can really access
It's like meditative.
Yeah, they can access the messages from the subconscious mind, which is where all this stuff is hidden.
No,
So is that a practice, that technique, do you have to practice it over and over again to make it more palatable and last? This
Yeah,
consciousness, awareness of going back.
Well, it depends. If you're doing it on your own, you're going to have to do it over and over
Yeah.
and over again. If
Yeah.
you're doing it with me, we go through it very quickly. And
Okay. Oh, I
because
see.
I also understand the layers of what's going on.
So you can
with
kind
the
of
emotions
pass.
in the body,
Okay.
and then
But your book kind of lays it out for people step by step.
It does.
That is so lovely.
Yeah,
Because we
wonderful.
forget about that part of it. We think it's going to heal with exercise and diet. It's not the only thing.
No, it's huge.
Wow.
I mean, gosh, no, the subconscious and
That's why we do
Yeah.
this show.
Yeah.
Because we want to be so well-rounded
exactly,
and full
the
circle.
mind, body, soul. There's
Yeah.
a reason it's all connected.
yeah.
So I just want to be cognizant of the time here.
Sure.
I know that. Do you have any events coming up, or I know it says here on your website you offer some free gifts and things like that for people to purchase. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. Okay. In terms of events, I have a couple of online summits that are coming up.
Oh, you
and
do?
Wonderful.
Yeah. If you sign up for my newsletter, you'll get all that information, or you follow me on Facebook. It's at Dr. Meg Haworth. That's also Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the
all
stuff.
the platforms,
All the stuff.
all the
Yes.
ways to reach you.
Yeah. So, and then of course my website at meghaworth.com. It's meghaworth.com. And then you get my free ebook, the ACE quiz, and a free recipe book.
Now,
as
is the
well.
ebook this book or
No.
no?
No.
Oh, it's
The ACE
another
quiz
book.
is this like
Okay, great.
something to figure out where you're at in the wellness spectrum, if you will. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
From the Adverse
Go do
Childhood
that.
Experiences Study quiz. And
Yeah.
it has
Oh,
a
okay.
point system. It's just 10 questions with yes or no answers.
Oh, very
And so
cool.
people can diagnose themselves basically, and by using your books, they can start treating themselves if they can't get to
Exactly.
you.
If they can't get to me,
Yeah.
and if they want to get to me, also they can do that.
Sure.
So,
So you have
Absolutely.
you have
Yeah.
cookbooks too. What's that first? There's a cookbook that it actually comes up on your website right away. It's like on your homepage. The first book, I forgot the name
yeah.
of it.
Yeah, it's-
About dairy, or what is it called?
Done with dairy, giving up
Yes,
gluten.
yes, that
Yeah.
one. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that, and you have how many? 7, 8 books out
Yeah.
right now?
Oh my goodness.
And how many of them are cookbooks?
One of them is a cookbook.
Okay.
And then the others are all in personal development or combining
Ah,
holistic
one-
medicine.
Now, those
very cool.
delicious homemade chocolates that you made last night.
Yeah,
and
they're
brought with
here.
you.
I ate one, guys, before the show.
Now, are those in the cookbook or something like
Gluten
that?
free, sugar free,
Yeah.
and only 4 ingredients. And I always
Yes.
tell my clients, the less the better, the more whole the better, the more organic the better,
absolutely
and down the
delicious.
line. But those are delicious.
They're so yummy.
You
know.
I got
Thank
caffeine. It's got cacao in it.
And
I got my caffeine fix
and it's
before
so
the show.
Good. You just literally need a nibble. I couldn't even finish one. It was so
Well,
rich.
I
but
didn't have that
delicious.
issue. So
Neither did I.
So I want to go back to the summit from a minute. Can you describe what the summit is? Is that interactive, or how is that?
Yeah, a lot of practitioners are doing online summits.
Yes,
these
exactly.
days,
I
and
know.
it's-
I've participated in a lot of them. They're amazing.
Yeah, it's
So do people
fantastic.
sign up for it and you come together as a group and work in a group? Is that how it goes?
No. Well,
yours is-
they sign up for it and then they receive interviews from experts
Yeah.
on a specific subject. And there's one coming up that I'm in about food, and then there's another one coming up about it's a mind, body, soul thing. And I can't even think of the names of right at the moment. But
That's
if you
okay.
sign up for my email list
Yeah.
or you follow me on Facebook, you'll find out. the
find
same
and it all
information.
pops up
Yeah.
over there.
Yeah.
And then you can sign up and they're free.
Yes. Oh, wow.
Usually they're free for the first however long. Sometimes the summits are running 3 days, 7 days, 10 days, and then they usually do like a free weekend, and then you can buy the whole package, and they're usually so inexpensive.
Yeah.
And then you can reference these experts for forever.
Yeah.
and have it digitally.
And they're
Yes.
they're personalized when you reference the experts, or are they just? I'm confused a little bit.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's just a whole package.
It's
that
a
you
Yeah.
can
package.
buy.
They'll figure it out.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right.
So
Very cool.
Yeah, I know it's amazing. So we are actually sort of winding down to a close here. So we want you to share just some incredible last words and words of wisdom to leave our listeners with that they can take on into their lives.
Okay. Well, one thing I would say to listeners that I think is one of the most powerful things that we can do for ourselves, the power of choice is the most significant power we have, and to use your power of choice to take your healing into your own hands is the most brilliant thing you will ever do, especially if you are sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah. I know so many of us, disconnect from our intuition and our inner wisdom and think that the experts know, but we're the ones in our bodies. We know ourselves better than anybody else, and we forget that sometimes, and we hand over our power
You have
to
to
the
trust our
so-called experts.
intuition to know best, to work
Yeah.
with an expert,
So true.
and someone like you who can coach so people can be accountable.
Yeah.
Because it makes it a lot easier when you can, when you feel like you're going this way, to call or to make an appointment and be able to talk it out and then work it out and have the tools to be able to heal yourself.
Yeah.
It's so invaluable what you do.
Thank you.
And thank you for helping so many. You had to go through a little bit of
Well, that's how you get your
trials
training.
and tribulation to
Exactly.
but
It's the best training, right?
Exactly, really. Because then you're an expert. You really know what you're doing, what you're talking about when you've gone through it yourself.
Yes.
People trust you.
true.
Okay, well, again, just before we leave, just share your website again and your book. I know you can get on Amazon right now. And so
Yeah.
website one more time.
It's meghaworth.com, meghaworth.com.
Wonderful. Okay.
Yeah, no, hey, Hay. I had to correct my
I did buy
my social media
HAY
post.
Worth. You can actually get to it either way.
Oh,
Either
yeah.
way.
No wonder why. I wonder why.
Exactly.
Meg, we have to
Yes.
thank you so much for taking time out of your
Wonderful.
day to come and share this with our audience. What a great thing you are doing, and we really appreciate it.
Wonderful.
Thank you for having
Thank you
me.
so much. Yes, and thank you to everybody listening. And we will be back next week.
We will.
And have a fabulous week.
Have a fabulous week. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you
Yes.
next week. Bye now.
Bye-bye.